Hello, and welcome to a slight critique on democracy. Today, we will be looking at the issues of a democratic system that are embedded in its principle. This is Athens, the capital of Greece and no less than the birthplace of democracy. This city has survived more than 2 millennia of wars, economic and political crises, and switching of power. Today, it remained as a symbol to the foundation of Western democracy, a system that is known around the world as the greatest political institution. But is it really that great? In 594 BC, politician and reformer Solon made the so-called Solonian constitution. Amongst its laws, it abolished debts, and all debt slaves were freed. He divided up society by their income, essentially creating a democracy. People have received rights accordingly to their wealth, but at least the power was already decentralized more than it used to be. This was an important first step towards democracy, albeit some historians claim that it did not influence the later outcome. In 560 BC, a tyrant named Pisistratus stole the power from the Demos, the Hellenic folk, and brought in a massive restoration. He unified the Attic Peninsula, created peace, and his decisions paved the road for the domination of Athens and the rise of democracy. A tyrant made democracy possible. See the irony? Without his contributions, Athens wouldn't have been as dominant, and they probably wouldn't have transformed into the first democracy. After the death of Pisistratus and the fall of his sons, lawgiver Cleisthenes went on to reform the Athenian government. In order to avoid tyranny, he introduced ostracism, where people could vote for the exile of those who were thought to be tyrants, or rather tyrant wannabes. He made all citizens equal, albeit only freemen counted as citizens, and he established the filies, or otherwise called the trities, which operated similarly to modern-day constituencies. These decisions led to the establishment of democracy, a system which in theory is more than 2,500 years old. Yet, we use it today, and most nations in the West marvel at its name. Famous revolutions and wars were waged in the name of democracy, and those events are to this day celebrated every year. It hasn't been long ago for totalitarian communism to be abolished, and the celebration of their victory in Western democracies still seems to be going. We don't like to think negatively about our system, and that is essentially part of the problem. First, the issues. The qualification of candidates. Since The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith from 1776, we have known that the division of labour, or in plain English, specialisation, is our best chance of progress. The pun example is still true today. Doing one of the many parts of the whole process is easier and takes less time than learning it, and then mining it, transporting it, forging it, and then selling it. Nearly every job in this world has adopted the theory, but one branch. Politics seems to have missed the point. Just ask yourself, how will a person educated in law be able to make a sensible decision on economic, biological, and urban planning issues, all in the same week? It is one thing to understand law, and another to understand the issues. Unqualified people are voting on issues which should be in the hands of experts. Would you want a lawyer to do your plumbing for you or to fix your car? I don't. So then, why do we all lack a proficient government? It's complicated. No one knows really. Maybe nobody with 2 brain cells wanted to do the job. The candidates. I would like to ask anyone who thinks of themselves as unbiased to name one Prime Minister or one President who has done an outstanding job. I couldn't find one personally. There were a few who deserved praising for the majority of their decisions, but mistakes coming from unqualified backgrounds are mistakes all the same. Maybe giving one person all the power is not the best idea. The voters. I think we all have at least one person in our minds who we look at and think, they have the right to vote. Winston Churchill allegedly said, "The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter." Now, we may not know if this quote truly came from him, but it is quite thought-provoking. In theory, voters want themselves to be represented, so they vote in the most promising candidate. But what is there to stop them from lying? What is the guarantee that they will do what they have promised? And what guarantees that the voters will choose the honest and strong candidate over the lying, corrupt one? Like this would ever happen though. Because surely there's no one who would ever lie for votes, right? And I'm sure that no one in their right mind thinks that giving a decision like Brexit to the average voters was a good idea. Not to take a side on Brexit deals, but the way the whole thing went down. It's like asking a raccoon if you should quit your job. The parties. Leading from ideology has had quite the history. Remember this guy, Hitler? Yeah, he was a democratically elected candidate, and he had an ideology, or one too many. The problem with the ideologies is that they do not care about the truth, only their own talking point. Political parties are grouping by ideology. Not truth, not reality. Those are led by subjective feelings and thoughts, rather than rational, objective and unbiased measures. Every 4 years, parties need votes, and sadly, as the vast majority of voters aren't proficient in taxation or business decisions, they will vote on the most demagogue speakers. The productive part of governing, even if a party would aspire to do well, would not earn them votes. Therefore, it's a bad strategy to be honest and rational. The voters are not, and with that realization, most of our modern social institutions can be broken down in a black and white manner. Absolute majority. There is not much to be said about this, as the back door for tyrannical power to enter democracy. Basically, do whatever you want for 4 years. It leaves an opportunity open for the worst. There are quite a few democratically elected dictators in history, and some even in modern times. That is no coincidence. Misleading people and maintaining the picture is far easier than a tyrannical overtake by military force. Why? Because the military is clear as day. Keeping people in the dark makes them uncertain in making important decisions. The people can't fight back against the unknown. The absolute majority in theory would be able to demolish the whole constitution of a country. There are no boundaries. 2. The government. There are different types of representative democracies. The UK is a parliamentarian, the USA is a presidential, and the Dutch is a parliamentarian as well, but with a proportional rule in the seats. The US president has the right to veto and support anything. Sounds scary? Good. In the UK, only Her Majesty the Queen can veto anything, albeit it is more of a symbolic power, not a truly exercisable one. So the majority, no matter how stupid or irrational, will be having their way. The Netherlands has been struggling for 10 years to form a government, as the power can only be exercised with the formation of coalitions. And coalitions are sensitive little things. But hey, at least there can be no absolute majority. These are great nations, and I'm not mocking them for fun. Yet they seem to have shown time and time again to lack rational and productive discourse, hence rational and productive decisions. And the politics between voters basically became a football match, where people are taking sides and shouting at each other. 3. Sidetrack. I could talk about the modern problems of Western democracies, but that is a story for another time. Even though those do qualify as problems with democracy, they are not problems within its principle. The essential problems aren't even with how it operates in the real world, rather within its original theory. 4. Conclusion. This is not to say that democracy is all wrong. I personally would choose it over any political system that has existed in this world so far. We probably all know the meme of the Star Wars villain Palpatine's famous words, "I love democracy." The trouble is, the people who shout this the loudest care the least about it. Ultimately, the issue is there are no guarantees, no defense lines, no cages to keep the lion tamed and to rule out the demagogue tyrants. But democracy lacks so many things it would make a far longer video for all of it to be told. For now, it seems to be the best option compared to anything so far. But is it really our best option? What will we need in 100 years? What do we need today? Without the use of the scientific method, it has no chance to be improving. Sadly, a lot of people seem to be satisfied with this muddy, stagnant water. The ideas of technocracy, epistocracy, or scientocracy are not even taught or discussed in schools. Those are topics which we will be looking at in future videos. The idea that our own foundation may be corrupt, poisoned, or just inoperable is the last thought of the majority of people. As I'm always saying, in order to solve the problem, we need to recognize there is one. Our democracies aren't perfect, and if we want to progress or create a better future, we need to fix them. I've been told many times that I can criticize democracy all I want, but without a solution, it is worth less than a Tesco's bag of crisps. To those, I would like to say, besides the obscene set of words, that those will be discussed in future videos. Criticizing is fairly easy, but finding a cure to the problem is not. I understand that, and I try to live by it. Nevertheless, take this video as it is, and hopefully it will plant the seed for foundation to secure ourselves a better future. Ending with these cheesy sentences, thanks a lot for watching, mate. If you've enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you would like to get more from this channel, feel free to subscribe. So long, until the next video.